Once in a small fog-covered town nestled near the edge of an ancient forest, there lived a young girl named Mira. People in the village often said she was quiet, distant, always lost in her thoughts. While others worked hard in the fields, ran shops, and learned trades, Mira stayed home, helping her mother with chores and reading old books by the fire. It wasn't that she was lazy. She simply believed she wasn't good enough. When the village kids ran races, she didn't join. When teachers asked for volunteers, she looked away. Deep down, she felt she had nothing special inside. "I'm just average," she would say to herself. "I'm not strong, not clever, not brave." One autumn morning, a mysterious traveler arrived in town. She was an old woman with soft eyes, silver hair tied back neatly, and a walking stick carved from twisted oak. No one knew where she came from, but everyone welcomed her kindly, as they always did with strangers. The woman spent her days quietly walking through the village, greeting people with a warm smile and a nod. And every day she noticed Mira, always standing behind others, always doubting, always retreating. One afternoon, as Mira sat alone by the well, the woman approached her. "Young one," she said, "may I sit with you?" Mira nodded politely. The woman sat and looked at her with gentle curiosity. "Tell me," she said after a while, "do you know who you really are?" Mira looked away. "I'm just me. Nothing special." The woman smiled softly. "There is a mirror," she said, "hidden at the top of Ember Peak, but it's no ordinary mirror. It shows not your face, but your truth, who you truly are inside. If you dare to look, you will see yourself fully for the first time." Mira frowned. "Is that real?" "Very," said the woman. "But the mirror is not easy to reach. You'll need to cross the forest, climb the mountain, and face yourself." Mira shook her head. "I couldn't do that. I get tired too quickly. I'd get lost, and I don't know anything about the forest or climbing mountains." The woman placed her hand gently on Mira's shoulder. "The mirror doesn't need a perfect climber. It only waits for someone brave enough to try." And with that, she left. That night, Mira couldn't sleep. The idea of seeing her true self haunted her. She thought of all the things she believed she wasn't. Smart, strong, bold. But what if the mirror showed her something else? By sunrise, she had packed a small bag with water, bread, a blanket, and a notebook. She left a note for her mother and began walking, alone, into the forest. At first, the trees were thin and golden with autumn leaves. But the deeper she went, the darker it became. The sun barely reached the ground. The air was damp, filled with the scent of moss and earth. She got scratched by thorny bushes, slipped on wet stones, and took more wrong turns than she could count. There were moments she almost cried, but something in her refused to go back. The mirror was waiting. After 2 days, she finally reached the foot of Ember Peak. The mountain was far taller than she imagined. Its path twisted like a serpent. The wind howled, and the stones beneath her feet were loose and sharp. Her legs ached. Her fingers were numb. Once, she slipped and cut her palm. Blood mixed with dirt, but she didn't stop. She wrapped her hand in cloth and kept moving. Each night, she slept under the stars, afraid of the dark, but comforted by the thought of reaching the summit. Each morning, she woke sore and cold, but determined. On the 4th day, as the sun began to set, she reached the top. And there it was. Not a grand palace, not a shining temple, just a small stone shelter. Inside, resting on a simple pedestal, was the mirror. Mira stepped inside, her heart pounding. She approached the mirror slowly, afraid of what she might, or might not, see. She stood before it and looked. At first all she saw was herself, muddy, tired, scraped, and bruised. But then, something changed. The reflection grew sharper, clearer, as if the mirror were seeing deeper. She saw the girl who walked for days through the forest, who bled and climbed, who pushed forward even when afraid. She saw courage she never knew she had. strength she never claimed. A light in her eyes she hadn't seen before. Tears welled up. For the first time in her life, she wasn't looking at just Mira. She was looking at someone brave. The journey back was no easier. The descent nearly broke her knees, and she got lost twice. But this time, she wasn't the same girl. She was stronger. She spoke to herself kindly. When she stumbled, she stood up again. After a week, she returned to her village. The old woman was there, sitting by the well. Mira approached and sat beside her. "I saw it," she whispered. The woman smiled. "And what did you find?" Mira looked at her scraped hands. "I found me." The woman nodded. "You didn't need the mirror to show you who you are. The mountain did. The forest did. Every step, every fall, every moment you chose to keep going. That was your truth." Mira didn't speak. She just smiled. The first real smile she'd worn in a long, long time. From that day on, Mira was different. She joined the village tasks. She spoke up. She tried things even if she wasn't sure. She failed sometimes, but she kept going. And people noticed. Not because she became someone new, but because she finally saw who she'd been all along. The greatest discoveries in life aren't found in magical places. They re-found in moments we dare to try. We all carry a mirror inside us, but it takes a journey, effort, and struggle to wipe the dust away and see our real selves clearly. You don't need someone to tell you what you're capable of. You need to walk through the dark, climb the mountain, and face your reflection. That's where your truth lives, not in perfection, but in persistence.